All right, well, hello, welcome in right now into some live coverage here. First ever live stream here. Right now, paying attention to a severe weather threat continuing on over here in the Ohio Valley due to the aftermath of Beryl here. Wanted to keep an eye out on some of the storms really quickly here as we are continuing to watch some of these storms possibly becoming a severe storm. I want to keep an eye out on that really closely here. But just to get this off right now, we do have a tornado watch right now actually active for Louisville over here. That's including Cincinnati as well, Columbus, Indiana, several areas, Lexington, just outside of the watch here. But there is that tornado watch including several cities there that we want to keep an eye out on as we go on throughout the overnight hours. This is for 2 hours and 11 minutes for the rest of this, and this is in a slight risk that was just an enhanced risk but has now been downgraded, so that is at least some good news there. And we're gonna head on over here to this really quickly here. Let's head in over here to the storms right now. We actually do have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings right now continuing on, but we're going to focus on the ones right now here in Ohio because that is our main area. This is including a pretty good amount of here of Interstate 70. So a very, very large storm right now just is going right, has already kind of actually went over I-70, but if you take a look right now, if we click on it, the tag that we want to keep an eye on is on tornado possible with this storm very, very closely. So we want to keep an eye on that very closely here. Heading into the velocity signature, could we see any rotation? We could possibly be trying to see something trying to form right in here, but we'll have to keep an eye out on that very closely here, as this is pretty close to US 121 or 127 and US 40 right now, as this is going to continue. Could it strengthen up? We'll have to definitely see about that. Heading over here in the next couple of hours. So, but no matter what, we're going to continue to see some of these storms continue on. We're already seeing some of these outer, not as bad as it was last night with the outer bands and all that. Several areas though are continuing to pay attention to severe weather. We obviously have that severe thunderstorm right here. This was this storm that came over across right over here. That's the reason why there's a severe thunderstorm warning. Lots of lightning and hail with it. This storm right down here crossing I-74 does not seem to have a lot of that hail or lightning, really. More of just a heavy rain threat right now. So wanted to keep an eye out on some of this for right now. So I want to keep an eye out on that very closely here. But going on throughout the rest of the night, we're probably going to continue to see some potential threats for some storms here, and you can clearly see this is the outlook right here for the United States. As you can see, all the way over here from northern Ohio all the way down here into southern Kentucky, we have the marginal risk here, but the slight risk is more of a certain area right over here. That's including several parts of Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, going throughout 3 states here. So I want to keep an eye out obviously on that. But the question is how big is that tornado threat? They did come out with an update not too long ago, and there's that tornado threat that we're continuing to watch still in that slight risk region. That's going to be that tornado risk right now, but look how it's including several cities, and we want to keep an eye out on that, as this tornado threat could ramp up throughout the night. Obviously, it's not our highest type of severe weather threat, but we want to keep an eye out on that very, very closely, as we're going to continue to see some of these storms start to possibly just blow up in certain areas right now, just like we're continuing to watch that severe thunderstorm right now over there. Heading in over here to the Louisville radar, if we take a look here at a couple cities, Louisville, you have some storms off to your west here. Look at this big line that came through. It is starting to weaken, it does seem, and it definitely is starting to, could it get its act together? We'll have to see, as it is heading into a little bit more favorable environment for it, but you can definitely see it was a very big change here, and that's probably why they downgraded it to a slight risk, is because the line is not fully in together here. Which is some good news here if you live in Louisville and across I-65, because no matter what though, I would say I-65, if you are driving north on I-65, you're going to see a lot of rain and possible strong winds with some of these storms. So we want to keep an eye out on that very closely as we continue on throughout the next couple of hours. Then we head into Indiana over here. Indiana just looking like a big mess over here. We have rain surrounding the Indiana area right now. This is that storm over here that's continued to push over here into the severe thunderstorm. We have these storms right over here that just went through Indianapolis, and now another storm heading right through eastern Indianapolis, the suburbs area, right now dealing with some of that. Majority of the rain is off to your northwest here, so the good news is we possibly won't be seeing some flash flooding as bad in Indiana, but definitely we'll be seeing some type of flooding. But you kind of can see actually, like, you know, you have this storm right here that you're keeping an eye out on, but not just after that. We also have now another possible big storm that could come by right in through this region right here. Obviously probably won't be as heavy as rain, but want to keep an eye out on that just in case if it starts to you know, potentially do anything, because this is the aftermath of Beryl, so obviously anything could possibly happen and continue on right now. I'm pretty sure they got rid of the cone for Beryl. Yeah, they did get rid of the cone for Beryl. So, but no matter what, Beryl is, you know, continuing to push off to the northeast, and is continued to race off to the northeast here. So lots of heavy rain will be continuing on throughout the next couple of days in several parts of the, you know, a couple of cities here. But, you know, as Beryl continues to move off to the northeast, that's going to include the northeast dealing with some of that. And I'm pretty sure I can actually pull up here. I can pull up the rainfall outlook here. So taking a look here, and I actually have it already pulled up here, so you can see the outlook already right there. Heading into tomorrow, though, this is where the rest of Beryl is, right? Oh, whoopsies. This is where the rest of Beryl is. Vermont, New York in that moderate risk for some potential heavy rainfall, but stretching all the way from Maine all the way over here into Pennsylvania. Parts of Michigan could be seeing some of that as well. So a lot to be paying attention to with the flash flooding, especially in this area right here for Vermont. As Beryl is going to continue to push off to the northeast, we're going to see heavy amounts of rain probably throughout the next couple of days. So make sure to turn around, don't drown, do not drive through flooded waters. That is what our biggest concern that we want to keep an eye out on very closely here. So right now, still continuing to watch some of these severe thunderstorm warnings here. We have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings, so let's head on over here. Right now, South Dakota, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued right now. Let's just go through a couple of these right now. So quarter-sized hail possible with this storm here, winds of 60 miles an hour. Look at look at the kind of the radar outlook here. You can clearly see, look at that. You can see like a little you can see like that big kind of like explosion type right there. That's getting the environment ready for some more of these storms here to pop up, and you can see it right through as the storm pushes off over here. As it starts to blow up right in this area, you can see a little bit of a boundary that is in front of it, kind of moving it over. So that's what's making it a little bit more favorable for some of these severe storms to come through here. So there it is. So very large storm potentially continuing off over here down to the southeast. This is heading 420th Street right now. No interstates or anything like that is in the way, but definitely possible some hail is sitting right in that pink region right there. So we want to keep an eye out on that very closely. As we could be seeing some potential strong storms over the next couple of minutes, hours, any of that. Like, we want to keep an eye out on that very closely, because hail is going to be our biggest competitor with this storm as it continues to push off to the southeast. So continuing to watch obviously that storm very closely here, and especially the other storms that are being issued in several other areas. We have Arizona that has a severe thunderstorm warning right now. This one's just east of Tucson here, so want to keep an eye out on that right now. The good news is it is missing the city completely, so this is off to your east here, but you can definitely see not as big as storms as we're seeing up to the north, but you can clearly see these storms just keep blowing up in this region right over here. It seems to just keep blowing up in this region specifically, so want to keep an eye out on that, obviously. Very closely as this, as we're going to continue to watch the weather, just deteriorate in certain areas, because it seems to keep blowing up in certain areas here. So I want to keep an eye out, obviously, on that as well. And then we have one in Texas and New Mexico over here. This one's just north of El Paso, so this does seem like it's right at the border of Mexico and Texas and New Mexico, actually. So I want to keep an eye out on this right here, because this is 60 mile an hour 60 mile an hour winds have been seen with this. The storm is not seeming like it's there. But we might not be seeing something in the National Weather Services, and we're all seeing different things here. So flash flood warning continues on over here in parts of New Mexico as well. This is just not too far from Las Vegas here in New Mexico. Las Vegas, New Mexico. There we go. So flash flood warning, 2 hours, 32 more minutes remaining of this. If we head over here to the, whoopsies, wrong one. Head into the digital accumulation array, you can clearly see probably some higher up totals right in there. That's something we want to pay attention to right now, as that is up to possibly 1 to 2 inches of rain in that area. So I want to keep an eye out, obviously, on this area right now, as that could be possibly bringing up some potential heavy rainfall. But if we head on over here to the digital, the 1 hour difference, haven't seen much at all. The digital storm total difference, haven't seen much at all. So this will probably be expiring pretty soon here, as there isn't a lot of rain. More of that rain has already passed and is down over here to the southeast. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some flash flooding in this circle right here. For possibility for Interstate 40, you could be seeing some flash flooding. Same with Highway 54. So I want to keep an eye out on that. If you are driving, please be keeping an eye out on that very closely here. So right now we have no severe weather systems that we're paying attention to very closely here. No active problems, really, just no active problems that we're paying attention to in this area right here. Obviously, you can still see it's kind of more of a very, very broad type of storm area, but no severe thunderstorms or tornado warnings are continuing on right now, so that's at least some good news here. We did see some tornado warnings earlier, but definitely when it came to Tropical Storm Beryl, we definitely saw a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornado warnings that came from that storm. So, but now we're not seeing it, so that's at least good news. But right now it is just a rainfall threat and continues to just dump some heavy amounts of rain. But as this storm is going to also continue to move out to the northeast, we're going to see a little bit more of that of a change here. The question is there, we're still seeing these though, taking a look here in Kentucky, we see this big line of storms right here that is continuing on, that has definitely broken itself up before hitting Louisville. And right now, Louisville, you do have some storms moving in, but that's kind of one, you can see some possible spin-ups that could possibly happen with some of these smaller storms here, turn into some big supercells, and that is when we could possibly see some spin-ups. But the question is obviously, do we see any now? I'm not taking a look here. I'm not seeing here in this region that we're seeing this any velocity signatures possibly indicating rotation here. Maybe if I head over here, could we see some rotation? This could be something right here. I don't know about this storm. So according to the velocity signature, we could be seeing something right in here, and this could be, I believe it's heading off to the northeast here. I cannot exactly focus on that, so let's see if it's heading off to the northeast. It should be possibly heading off to the northeast. Yeah, so the storm is heading off to the northeast here. So potential tornado could be on the or not tornadoes on the ground, but could be something to pay attention to. And I bet the National Weather Service has their eye on this rotation right in here. We could be possibly seeing a new tornado warning soon, but it does seem like eventually this storm will be pushing over here to US 36. Highway 36. So I want to keep an eye out on that very closely as this continues to push off over here to the northeast. So as we're continuing to watch this move off to the northeast, we're going to continue to see some of these storms deteriorate. If you are traveling on possible I-75 in the future and Highway 36, Greenville right now getting hammered with some storms right now in some certain areas right there. But flash flooding is going to be our biggest potential threat already still. So I want to keep an eye out obviously on that right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings do continue in Arizona, South Dakota. And we do have a flash flood warning actually in Louisiana here. And this is including New Orleans. So I want to continue on this right now here. So let's pay attention to this really quickly here. And I just saw this, man. I didn't realize it was for this. So flash flooding, this is radar indicated here. Radar indicated. Whoopsies, I don't know what happened to my pen there. There we go. Radar indicated the flash flood. So, but the radar is saying it is considerable threat due to expected rainfall 2 to 3 inches in 1 hour. So the question is are we seeing that still? There is a 28 more minutes remaining in this. When did we see that rain come through? It does seem like yeah, so we did have some heavy storms and possible rainfall just continue to push through here, but definitely kind of just blew up in one area. But that was jumping lots of heavy rainfall, and you can already kind of see, you know, even though you have that one system, you have another one come through, and that's about it, just to cause some flash flooding. So heading into over here to the accumulation array, not seeing much right here. Just not seeing too much going on right now. 1 hour precipitation totals, majority it seems to be off over here, heading off of the coast of Louisiana. So that will expire eventually. But remember, if it does, especially if it says a considerable threat, we want to keep an eye out on that very closely here. So, continuing to watch this very closely here. Precipitations over the next 6 to 10 days. We'll talk about this for a little bit here. Since we don't really have too much going on. 6 to 10 days here, as you can clearly see. These brown areas right here, if you were curious, these are the dry area. So you can clearly see just in Louisiana, New Orleans specific areas, very dry areas are going to be expected over the next 6 to 10 days. The most green areas are the most specific spots that are going to have the majority above average rainfall in that area. So we want to pay attention to that. 50% chance of precipitation being above normal. So it's pretty decent odds, I guess, but 50-50, right? 50-50. So then we head in on over here, head into 8 to 14 days. That's when we see a little bit of a change here. We can see, you know, parts of that above average stretching all the way up here into the east coast here, all the way through Texas. But then it starts to get dry up here in the northern parts of the US here. And then if we could just continue to watch, now it's getting a little bit more, 3 to 4 weeks, so a little bit more inaccurate here, probably, or a little bit farther out. So this could change, a little bit more. Very dry over here, specifically in Washington, parts of northern Oregon and northern Idaho. Could be seeing some of that, and then very above average here in Arizona and New Mexico, and then most of the southeast here, including Florida all the way up over here, could be seeing some type of flash flooding, or not flash flooding, but some rainfall over here in the next couple of weeks here. So I want to keep an eye on that. So we're going to go through the severe thunderstorm warnings just again here. We have a brand new one here in North Dakota. You can see it's flashing. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning has now just came out of this, and you can see it's definitely a monster storm with the hail, it seems. Or, it says only 1 inch in hail, but that is a very big storm here. And you look how it just started blowing up right there in certain area. Just started blowing up. There it is right there. Continuing to push off to the southeast here. So if we continue to take a look here at the not the velocity. So used to clicking on the velocity signature. Let's take a look at the hydrometer classification. So even though maybe not a lot of people live in this, you have Litchville over here right now. So Litchville, you are currently experiencing probably, so it says some BD, which is, I thought I would have a thing over here. It just says BD, but heavy rain right here in the green. This is hail right here. In the red, so I want to continue to look at that very closely here. Whoopsies. So if you are in this hail area, you want to keep an eye out on that because this could be potentially heading for your direction. If you live in this area, I know it's very likely that no one is really focusing in this area, but just to pay attention to. And then we just still have that severe thunderstorm warning off to the south here. Continuing to watch this one very closely here as this storm is continuing to get maybe a little bit stronger here as we're continuing to watch this really closely here. So one storm actually already went through and died down pretty quickly. So maybe as this storm pushes down to the southeast, it could die quicker as well. So we're going to keep an eye out on that very closely here. Continuing to watch those severe storms here. The question is when, are we going to get any more problems for this area specifically here? Could we get any more problems? I guess we'll have to see. Let me head on over here to the main radar. So this is the radar right here. This is the radar currently right now from Beryl. So this is all from Beryl right here. You kind of can see, you have that, obviously the heaviest rainfall up to the north here. Just the rainfall, no storms really. Nothing too much here, but then you have a little bit more of these storms starting to form over here in Indiana, stretching all the way down into Tennessee. Those storms continuing to potentially just go up, and it does seem like Cincinnati just got a storm. So let's actually head to their radar really quickly here. Take a look at Cincinnati's. I haven't taken a look. So according to this, so like taking a look here at this really quickly here, Cincinnati, you had a lot of your storms go off to the west. So that was a lot earlier today where you had these storms head right through your area, but more storms headed off to the west over here crossing I-74. So if you are in Cincinnati, stayed at least a little dry. You still had some storms go through you earlier today. Indianapolis, you are continuing to watch some heavy rainfall over here. Let's make sure you know, with the flash flooding, could you be seeing some flash flooding? Let's take a look here. Digital accumulation array. 1 hour difference. Not seeing too much according to this. I think, yeah, so it's a little off of date. It's a little off the date here. One precipitation total here. So you kind of can see in Indianapolis, we're seeing mostly up to maybe half an inch to an inch of rain in the downtown metro area of Indiana here. So I want to keep an eye out on that as well, obviously, as we're going to continue, you know, to pay attention to this, because I think the biggest thing that we're, you know, wanting to watch very closely here is just the rainfall from Beryl. You know, the aftermath of Beryl has already been, you know, pretty crazy, because we've already seen a lot of flash flooding across parts of the United States as it continues on. Lots of tornado warnings that were in Arkansas, you know, that we saw in Arkansas. So, but let's head into the power outages here. County outages, you can clearly see here. Still continues for most of Texas on where Beryl made landfall. Here, most of Texas definitely is dealing with something. Houston area, Harris County, you can see this is, you know, not everyone. This is only 4,000 people have been tracked, but, you know, out of that 4,000 people here, we see 52% out. So out of 4,000 people, 52% of people are out of that power outage here. We're going to see that up here we have 27,000 customers are being tracked. 90% of people are out of power up here, you know, so it's going to take a little bit more for the power to come back on, really. So, you know, even though, you know, you have no power in this region right here, the good news is it is staying dry, and, you know, after the storm, there isn't rain in the area, really. Maybe just this little random thunderstorms that are trying to start over here off of Texas here, but want to keep an eye out on the power outages, because we could be seeing some power outages continuing on. But I want to just not focus on Texas down there, but look at this. We can see some areas right here, and I'm going to assume these are from Beryl. From these right here with the heavy rain, and then you know, even tropical depression winds up to tropical storm force winds here, wind gust at least, you know, are dealing with, you know, bringing some of these power outages out and bringing that out. So a lot to be paying attention to when it comes to the power outages as well. You know, how long will Texas be out of power? Well, I think they are getting a lot of people back on, so that is at least some good news there. So we're going to continue to keep an eye out on that really closely here. Not much going on right now here in Indiana and Ohio. Not much going on here. I think if we take a look here at the future radar, we can actually take a look at the radar here. There we go. Okay, so we have a few hours out here. So according to the future radar right now, so if we take a look here at the future radar, we're going to continue to see some potential, you know, heavy rainfall still continue over here in parts of eastern Illinois, northern Indiana, heading over here into Michigan. Want to keep an eye out on that. But then you have these little individual thunderstorm supercells that could possibly form from this, you know, from aftermath of Beryl here. So as we're going to be paying attention to this, Louisville could be dealing with some storms later on. So we'll have to just keep a look here at the future radar here. So let's head into the next hour here. So this is 11 o'clock Eastern time right now. So this is the next hour here. You can clearly see that heavy rain kind of still continues on up here, but this is the one area where I'm continuing to pay attention to, because this is where we could possibly seeing some severe thunderstorms and some tornadoes potentially pop up any moment with these storms, really. At 12 a.m., this is where we're seeing a little bit more of a different type of situation here. Obviously, the rain's still off to the north here, but Cincinnati, you're getting some storms right there that we want to keep an eye out on. The Louisville, your storms are off to the east now. You did get some storms. It's anticipated to get some storms earlier, but then you really start to see it kind of get more of itself into a smaller type of circle here. But you can definitely see Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio, you guys are really getting up over here into some very, very big and serious situations with these big storms here. So I want to keep an eye out on that very, very closely here right now. So as we're going to continue to watch that, continuing on with 2 a.m. here, we're starting to see some of these storms just continue to push off to the north here, it seems. And then we're going to continue to probably see some aftermath continue off over here to the northeast. So heading into 8 hours from now, 9 hours, 10 hours, we're heading into 10 hours from now, so 7 a.m. So tomorrow morning, we're starting to see a little bit more of that weather. So we're even still seeing some heavy rainfall over here in Indiana, still in Chicago area over here, Michigan, Detroit. You guys are going to be under those, probably some flash flood warnings potentially, but all of this will be racing to the northeast here. So that's why there's that area of moderate risk for the potential for damaging, or some big flooding that could potentially happen over the next day. So keeping an eye out on that very closely here. So a little bit more of potential storms could be continuing on throughout tonight here. Could be seeing a little bit of storms happening tonight here. This is the big area right here that we're keeping an eye out on right now, or not that area, I mean this area. A little bit more of an area here that I want to keep an eye on. Indianapolis still getting some rain, expected to end probably soon. Greenville now getting hammered with some pretty nice heavy rainfall, and just going to continue to watch this. So I-74, you're starting to get out of that rain, but you keep driving up to Indianapolis, you're going to get back into the rain here. So hopefully it's gone. If you're kind of in between it, hopefully it'll be gone by then. So I want to keep an eye out on that. Severe thunderstorm warning still continuing on over here in North Dakota, South Dakota. Take a look at this one down here in South Dakota here. If we take a look here at the counties, this is including this is located near Columbia here in South Dakota here. So I want to keep an eye out on that. This is for East Central Brown County in northeastern South Dakota. A very large storm is continuing to push down to the southeast. So the question is do they put another severe thunderstorm warning down here to anticipate it to potentially go down here? Could it still have that severe factor of 60 miles an hour winds here? Then we potentially go then we go up here into the North Dakota region right over here. Is there a closer radar here? Yeah, maybe this one. Does seem like the storm expires in 15 minutes because the majority of the storm is already pushed off to the southeast. But look at this. You still see that outflow, the boundary right there that brings these storms through. So same thing in South Dakota and North Dakota that's going on right now. So not a lot is going on exactly. Not too much is going on and continuing to go on. But we're going to continue to see some of these outer bands continue to push off over here to the north here, as they're going to kind of just, or actually to the northeast, push off to the northeast. So Louisville has already gotten some storms here. We're keeping an eye out on for that. I want to keep an eye out very closely on this one. As it continues to push off over here to the northeast. But very large storms are going to be continuing on. A little bit of lightning going around the Indianapolis area. So not just the rainfall, but a little bit of thunderstorms. So definitely should be inside right now in these areas right now here. Heading at 30 frames there. But look at this. So storms still continuing on through Greenville. You're going to be still getting some of the storms here, and then continuing to watch this storm start to die down. That did go through Dayton earlier, and definitely did post a lot of wind that we saw with that one, and some heavy rainfall. So the biggest threat here is just really the rainfall that we're continuing to pay attention to, as it's expected to potentially just go up here, over here to the north, and then race off to the northeast, it seems. But Michigan, it's going to spread out. It's going to really spread out when it comes back to this. So keeping an eye out on that very closely here. But I do want to head over here actually into the National Weather Service Prediction Center here. You can clearly see, though, really quickly here, this is our tornado, what's it called, storm report here. You can clearly see we've had 5 hail reports, 3 tornado reports, but majority of it, that blue line, is the wind. 38 wind reports have been reported just throughout today. So a little bit more of a interesting situation there. There is a tornado watch still continuing on right now. So if you are still continuing to watch this really closely here, a tornado watch is still continuing to be active here in parts of northern Kentucky, southeastern Indiana, and parts of southwestern Ohio. So I want to keep an eye out on that. But I just want to say really quickly here, look how quiet now the Atlantic is going to be. Obviously, we're still tracking the European model. So this is the European model, but still tracking Beryl over here to the northeast here as a tropical depression low, or not even being issued advisories by the National Hurricane Center anymore. But so quiet here out in the Atlantic, we have nothing to look at here. So we'll probably be seeing, and this is for the next 15 days. So the National Hurricane Center, you know, we could see something. We don't know yet, but obviously we're not seeing anything too big right now, obviously. So we're going to head on over here, tropicaltidbits.com here, see if we can head in and track some of this really quickly here into the North Atlantic. There it is. Apparently I'm a little lost here, but the reason why, if you're curious, you know, look at these high pressures right here. So very strong high pressures, that's guiding all of these storms off to our west here. That's why every storm has continued just to push off to the west. Want to keep an eye out on that really quickly here. The GFS model saying that high pressure continues to continue to grow here, but then the question is you can see actually right here on July 18th, a tropical wave starts to come off of Africa. So could that be a situation here? That is July 18th. So I believe that's in the next 15 days. But continues to just die down quickly here, as it's probably going to be heading through a lot of Saharan dust. So that's probably why we're not going to be seeing much going on with that. So if we head into over here to the GFS model here, and then head in over here to the the ensembles here, not seeing anything really for the Atlantic hurricane. You know, obviously there was Beryl, you know, continuing to watch that, not much going on here. The question is, though, if we head on over here to the regions, we head in over here to the Eastern Pacific, we could be seeing another storm here for the Eastern Pacific. Like you can clearly see, according to the GFS ensemble, something could possibly form right in there. The National Hurricane Center does not have anything yet marked on this, but this is farther out. This is 312 hours out, where we could be seeing you know, very spread out systems here, according to the GFS. So, but you know, the Euro and the GFS had a little bit of hard time tracking Beryl a little bit. So we're keeping an eye out on that a little bit closer here. There's the remnants of Beryl, but I want to take a look here at the cone really quickly. You know, even though the storm is not right here, that low pressure is not there anymore over Texas. It's more right in this region right here. But I just want to say, it's going to continue to push off to the northeast. So, as you know, as Michigan's going to be continuing to see that situation, and then it will potentially head up into Canada. You know, I would say if the National Hurricane Center was still issuing advisories, they would push the cone down probably a little bit more. But now the Weather Prediction Center is issuing advisories for this storm, and is really just continuing to just watch this storm as it continues to push off to the northeast. So heavy rainfall will continue, a majority in these regions anyway, so we're going to keep an eye out on that anyway. So a lot to be paying attention to as we go on throughout the rest of the night here. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. You know, we're seeing a little bit of severe thunderstorms you know, continuing on over here in North Dakota, South Dakota, flash flooding in New Mexico, but definitely pay attention to this overnight. We could be seeing some flash flooding continuing on throughout the rest of the night. So thank you so much for watching, and can't wait to do another live stream eventually, whenever we are available to. But a little bit of plan, so make sure you follow my X page. That is at storm or cadence _WC. Want to keep an eye out on some of these storms as we're going to continue on. So get